And you'll be able to see James and hear from him because he'll be following Arsenal and Chelsea on their pre-season schedules for us here on ESPN. Arsenal have got Bournemouth, Manchester United and Liverpool coming up. All of those games you'll be able to see across the network here. Chelsea, Wrexham, Celtic, Club America, Man City and Real Madrid. Loads of action coming up in terms of friendlies on ESPN this summer. So Spain are Euro 2024 champions and the country has been celebrating ever since. They won all 7 matches and there can be no argument that they are the top winners.
I didn't know you were in Spain. But, sorry, I thought that was you.
Yeah, it looked at me.
Did look a little bit like you.
You know, I'm quite toned like that.
Great scenes from Madrid of all the players enjoying themselves. What a performance they put on during the European Championships, and the fans came out in force.
Do you know when Alvaro Morata ran on there? Did he get flagged offside? He normally gets flagged offside. But that's brilliant. I mean, how good is that? They were, you know, not as a anti-English sentiment, but Spain were absolutely brilliant. And they took England apart in the second half. But all through the tournament, you know, there's no right and wrong way to play football. It's about results. But in some sense, it was the right way to go about it, wasn't it? Ideally, it was exciting. They got some big performances off players that, you know, and this is going back to something we've talked about in the show with the England discussion, was getting the best out of not just your superstars, but your fringe players. And when you think about the performances of Cucurella, if you think about the performances, I thought Laporte was excellent, and he's playing in Saudi Arabia. He's another player. He's playing in Saudi Arabia. He won't be able to play to that level. Well, he did. Danny Carvajal, obviously, I think he's the best fullback on the planet. But you know, Laporte and others, and then that's before you even get to the youngsters, and Lamine Yamal at 16, who then turned 17. So what the Spain manager did was manage to get a tune out of some of the players that we thought were going to be a problematic area, i.e. the back four. And I lied to their brilliant midfield. And maybe in some sense, and I don't know if this is, I've had this sort of feeling about Spain, is that sometimes as a manager you need a little bit of luck. And although I wouldn't like to see anybody be injured, and I don't, and my God, Pedri's had his fill of it as a young man, but that injury and making that switch to Dani Olmo, different type of player, maybe gave them a better balance that they wouldn't have had, because, you know, Dani Olmo would have played a bit part, 20 minutes here, half an hour there, a half there, but he then became an integral part, and he was absolutely brilliant. So maybe that was that little bit of luck that the Spain manager needed.
Yep, so Spain are the champions, and obviously we were very lucky because in the United States we got to hear Ian Darke on many of the calls throughout the tournament. But England's woes aside, and final aside even, Ian, what are some of your lasting memories from calling this Euros?
Well, Craig just said it. Spain were by far and away the best team in the tournament. They deserved to win it. 7 wins out of 7. Don't think that's been done before. I thought the only other team who performed well, really, were Germany, and they were unlucky, really. What they shouldn't have done was equalise against Switzerland, because then they'd have gone into the other half of the draw. But I thought they were pretty smart as well. That might have easily been the final. Instead, it was a quarter-final, wasn't it? I remember little things like I saw Georgia with that fantastic win against Portugal. And some of the scenes there were just incredible, how they did that. Their great goalkeeper, the Valencia goalkeeper, Mamadashvili, stopping absolutely everything at one end, and they grab a couple of goals. So that was special. Yeah, little things, really. I mean, I don't know. I thought as a tournament, if I'm honest with you, it wasn't a vintage European Championship. I think there was too much fear, cagey football from too many teams, and too many teams were a disappointment. But what it did have was a lot of drama, and especially a lot of late drama, like the Ollie Watkins goal for England that won the game against the Netherlands in the semi-final. A lot of things like that. So I think there was enough to keep everybody watching tingling, I hope, anyway.
Yeah, so that's all the nice stuff, but we thought we would bring Ian Darke back down to our level.
Yeah.
And get a most disappointing 11.
Well, it's just the England 11, isn't it? It's just England, isn't it? It's the England 11. Isn't it? Is it not England?
I hate that.
What?
Picking a worst 11, seriously.
Well, you didn't have to do it, Ian did.
No, I know, but...
Oh, you want to step out for this segment? Ian,
you
want to go through it, Ian?
I know everybody does it and everybody likes it and we always do it, but it's so...
Well, let Ian go through it.
Yeah, they asked me to do it. Really
and by the way, before you start, Ian, how have you got 3 Scots in there?
Look, there's some great players.
Seriously?
There. So it's not the worst 11. Obviously, there's some huge talents there, but I think if you measure it against the expectations we had of some of those names there at the start of the tournament, they were way, way below it.
Well, I had no expectations from any of the Scottish boys, I have to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, looking at the bigger names, I mean, Hungary are not a strong side, so Szoboszlai. We didn't see a lot of John McGinn, I have to say. Chiesa was, and Griezmann, he got dropped, didn't he? And Mbappe would, you know, people will use the excuse of the nose. I just think that's an excuse. But you're right. And the Ronaldo thing, we talked about it, Ian, before the tournament started. It would be one of the big decisions for Roberto Martinez regarding his participation. And I think we got the answer, didn't we? We got the answer into whether he had the stomach to make that change when it was, you know, obvious that, you know, he was more of a hindrance than a help. But Roberto Martinez, he just stuck with it, didn't he? He refused to make that change.
He indulged him too much. It was interesting. I tell you what, we bumped into Giorgio Chiellini, the great Italian defender who came over to bring the cup out for the final, and he was in the media room beforehand, and he knows Cristiano Ronaldo, and he said, What Roberto Martinez should have done was, after the group stage, he should have sent him to lie on a beach for 3 days and then brought him back. And then he said he'd have got a tune out of him then, but he said not just keeping him in the camp and trying to play him for 120 minutes. I mean, I wonder what Gonzalo Ramos, who was like the reserve centre forward, was thinking, why have they picked me? Why have they brought me? I can't get on the pitch, when there's a 39-year-old out there.